Yeah. Hi, this is Dinesh Kumar and you are watching Oracle videos. In this video, we are discussing about stored procedures. What is a stored procedure? Okay, let us see. Till now, already we have completed some programs. You are writing the program according to your requirement and you are performing your required task. But every day I want to perform some task. Every day I want to perform some task. So every day we need to write the program. The programs or queries are not saved in the database. The programs and queries are not saved in the database. If you want to save a program in the database, how should I save it? Yeah. So the program can be saved in the database as a procedure. So the procedure permanently saved in the database. So in future, if you want to execute it, you can execute. If you want to perform a task, yes, write a program and create it as a procedure in the database. So whenever you need the task or if you want to perform the task again, just execute the procedure. No need to write the program again and again. So you are saving the program in the form of procedures. How should I? Yep. Let us see. That's why procedure is called as a named program. A named program. Named PL SQL program is called as a procedure. What is the nature of this? It is permanently saved in the database. Permanently saved in the database. Remember this. So in future, if you want to perform the task again, simply execute procedure. Yeah. Now, what are the features of this procedure? If I create a procedure, what is happening? What are the features? See, procedure is having special features. Listen carefully, what are the properties or features of any procedure? First one, procedure is saved as precompiled object. It is saved in database as precompiled object. What is meant by this? Precompiled object. See, precompilation means before saving the procedure in the database, it will be compiled. According to compilation rules, syntactical rules, if your procedure not having any errors, then procedure is successfully saved in the database. If you have errors in the procedure, it will not created in the database. It is not created within the database. Remember this point. So once it was compiled, it will not recompiled again. See, program. How can I execute a program? Okay, you are writing a program. Here, the program is executed and compiled by using slash. So each time you are using slash, every time the program is compiled and executed. Each time whenever you are using slash, then the program is compiling and then executed. Remember this point. But procedure, only one time compilation object. Before procedure creating in the database, the procedure is compiled. Once it was compiled and created in database successfully, it will not recompiled again until you change the logic of procedure. A procedure created, in future you have some change in the requirement. According to change in the requirement, you need to change the logic in the same procedure. old procedure. Yes, you can change the logic. If you change the logic, then again you need to recompile it. Yeah. Next one. So you need to execute procedure explicitly. So procedures executed explicitly. Procedures executed explicitly means to execute the procedure we need to use execute command. Execute, or you can use exec, short name of execute, and specify the procedure name. Procedure name. So here argument value 1 and argument value 2 and so on. Remember this. And so if you want to execute procedure, you need to write execute procedure name. If the procedure is taking runtime input values, submit the input values here. Argument value 1, argument value 2, like this. Next one. Procedures can also be executed implicitly. Procedures also executed implicitly. Procedures also executed implicitly using procedure calling statement. Using procedure calling statement. Procedure calling statement. Remember this. How can I call the procedure? So it looked like this. Simply procedure name and specify the argument values. If it is expecting values, then submit the values. This is called as a procedure calling statements. Procedure calling statement. You can call the procedure by another procedure, or from a program, or from a function also you can call a procedure. But you cannot write procedure calling statement in select query. You cannot write procedure calling statement in select query. Remember that. You can call the procedure from other procedures, functions, programs, and packages also. Next point. What is the other feature? Procedures are static as well as dynamic. Means procedure may or may not take arguments. Procedure may or may not take arguments. Remember this. Procedure may accept runtime input values or may not accept runtime input values, which is called as may or may not take argument values. Next one. By default, procedure should not return any value. By default, procedure should not return any value. Remember that. So, by default, procedure should not return any value. Should not return any value to where it is returning value generally. From this place I am calling the procedure. Okay. Immediately execution control goes to the procedure and it will execute the procedure. Once execution is finished, the execution control coming back to procedure. So whenever the control is coming back to this calling area, it will not take any values. It will not take any values by default. Yeah. So any value to the calling object, to the calling area or object. Remember that. Okay. Again I am repeating, what is a procedure? Generally we are writing programs. Programs are not having names. Programs are not saving inside database. but every day I want to perform a task. So every day you need to write the program, or from external files you have to copy the program and coming into client tool and execute the program. So instead of that, I want to save the program in database, then create the program as a procedure in your database. If you want to save permanently within database, something you want to save, then you need to use create command. Okay, and you can execute procedure any number of times. So, but procedure can be compiled only once. Procedure is saved as a pre-compiled object. If there are no compilation errors in the written procedure, then only the procedure created in database. Otherwise, it will not be created. You need to erase or you need to remove all compilation errors. And procedures are explicitly executed. Procedures are by default explicitly executed, means we need to write execute statement, execute command to execute the procedure. So whenever you are executing procedure, if it is expecting runtime input values, pass the values here. This is execution statement. And you can also execute procedures implicitly. How can I automatically execute procedure? By writing procedure calling statement. So it look like this: procedure name and the argument values. Yeah. Procedures may take arguments, may not take arguments. May take arguments, may not take arguments. Suppose if this procedure not taking any input values, runtime input values, just after procedure name specify semicolon, don't pass any values. And remember, procedure by default should not return any value to the calling area. So it will perform a task, and the value or whatever the task completed, it will perform some action, but it will not give any value after execution to the calling area. And a procedure which is not accepting argument values, the procedure which is not accepting argument values, then the procedure is called as a static. So procedure which is taking argument values is known as dynamic. Procedures are again two types. Let me write here. See, types of procedures. Types of procedures. Two types. First one, static. Second one, dynamic. First one, static, and second one is dynamic. Static, not having arguments. Not having arguments. Dynamic, a procedure created with arguments. Procedure created with arguments. It is called as dynamic. And what is the structure of procedure? Yeah, here you can create the procedure like this. You are creating procedure in database. So procedure is also a database object. Procedure is also known as a database object. So if you want to create any object, we should use create. Create or replace. So what you are creating here? Procedure. And within the parenthesis, if it is expecting argument variable 1, its data type, don't specify any size here, only variable name, data type. Next, argument variable 2, its data type, and so on. You can use is or as, any keyword is same effect. Don't worry about it. Remaining everything is just like a program. So only you have this part and remaining part is same as program. So we are not writing any declare keyword. Declaration statement. Declaration part, begin, assignments, data processing, output statements. If you want to handle exceptions or if you want to handle errors, use exception block. And finally, end. Optionally, you can specify procedure name. Okay, so here procedure and the name of the procedure. Remember. So this is the way you can create a procedure. You are creating procedure inside database. So procedure is called as database object. First point. To create any database object, we must use create command. So here I am using create command. So creating, what you are creating? Procedure. What is the name of the procedure? Specify the name. And after that, you pass runtime input values. Specify the variables here. These variables are called as argument variables. Argument variables. And we can also say these are called as parameters. See, whatever the optional things, I am using square bracket for that. According to your requirement, if you want to specify argument variables, specify within the parenthesis. Otherwise, you can skip this part completely. So you are creating a procedure newly. Then you don't need or replace. You don't specify or replace. If you want to replace old procedure, already P1 is a procedure. Let us assume P1 is a procedure already created in the database. I want to modify that, or I am applying some new logic. So I want to replace the old logic with new logic. Then specify or replace. Create or replace. Procedure name. Then with the same name, if old procedure is there, the old procedure logic is replaced with new logic. With the same name, there is no old procedure. Then this procedure is created as a new procedure. Remember this point. Okay. And is or as, any keyword you can use. Here declaring the variables. Before declaration, don't specify declare keyword. It is not required. So after is, whatever the part is there, between is and begin, whatever the area is there, in this area you can declare variables. Yep. And in the begin section, same as program. Under exception, same as program. End keyword. Program is ending with end keyword. Here procedure ends with end space procedure name. This is optional. Procedure name is optional. So whatever the square brackets here I am using, the names, whatever the items in the within the square brackets is always optional. You may specify, may not specify. May not specify, no errors. Remember that. Okay. So this is called as procedure structure, syntax of the procedure creation. Here we are having two parts. What is that? See, from here to here one part, and from here to here another part. This part is called as specification part. Simply say spec. Here body part. Procedure is having two parts. One is a spec and another one is body. Specification contains Procedure creation information. Yes, I am creating procedure or replacing procedure, and the procedure is taking these arguments. That creation information is called as spec or specification, and body means logic. Body started with the declaration part and end with end keyword. Remember this. Procedure contains two parts, one is the spec and one is body. Okay, this is called as about procedures. Now, how to create procedure? Practically we can see.